You're wondering if rowing is a good tool to use for recovering from your injury. Maybe you had knee surgery, maybe ankle surgery, maybe you have a bad back, or you have a broken wrist. Whatever it may be, let's take a look at the ways in which we can actually use rowing from 3 different unique perspectives to make sure that you can continue to use the rowing machine safely, effectively, and to your benefit, so that you can either return to the sport that you were coming from and you got the injury into, or maybe just as a recovery tool in general to get you moving, keep you healthy through the process of dealing with that surgery or injury, and helping you stay healthy for the future. Before I get started, I just want to make a quick call out. If you have any interest in going further in depth into your rowing, making sure that you have an extremely positive and supportive community where you can get coaching and interact with the largest indoor rowing community in the world, people who want to support you and make you a dark horse, think about joining the crew. It's linked in the description below, in which you're going to be able to link up with everybody around the world who decides that they want to empower and better themselves just using the rower as a training tool. You're wondering if rowing is a good tool to use as you are recovering from either an injury, maybe you're coming from a sport, or surgery. Maybe you had a knee surgery, a hip surgery, something like that, and your doctor threw out, hey, you should think about rowing. Well, that's kind of a big blanket answer, and if you don't know anything about it, I don't know what to do. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the ways that you can use the rower to help build yourself back up, to get to the point where you're moving and happy and healthy again. And so we're gonna break this down into 3 main components: the arms, the legs, and the back, because I think those are kind of the 3 major areas that people would look at this machine and try to evaluate how to use it. So with that being said, let's get into it. So starting with the arms, let's just work top to bottom, I guess. Literally no reason I'm starting with the arms, but let's start with the arms. The arms, if we lose the ability to use one arm for a period of time, or maybe permanently, maybe we have an amputation, maybe we have a broken elbow, maybe we had a shoulder surgery and our arm is pinned to our chest, it creates this lasting effect on the way that we're moving through life. And if you're in it right now, you understand that at a deep, deep level. You don't realize how often we need both arms to do something. Try tying your shoes with one hand. It's a wildly different scenario. Try getting your door unlocked. If you're a dominant left-hander and your left hand is stuck to your chest and you always put your keys in your left pocket, now you're trying to struggle to get your keys out of your left pocket with your right hand and then get over to the door to unlock it and open it. You can see where the problems come in, and these challenges become frustrating. And so often we begin to shut down. Life can get a lot harder, and so we don't want to move anymore. We just kind of want to sit until it's over. But that is the worst thing that you can do for yourself. You need to keep blood flowing through your body to help the recovery and repair process. And 30 years ago, they may have said rest and recover. That's not how it works anymore. Surgeons want you moving as soon as possible to make sure that you're putting good nutrients, good oxygen, good blood flow into the body, because it improves and increases the repair process. So talking about the arms, what are some of the easiest ways that we can use this machine to our advantage? Well, there are a few. Number 1, we can begin simply by rowing with our good arm. If my arm is in a cast in some way, whatever it may be, you can simply hold on to the handle with one hand. In and of itself, you now have the ability to create still an aerobic workout without using one arm. And the beautiful part is that you are now having to work anti-rotational strength, which is a huge benefit to you. As you're driving and pushing on the machine, the handle is trying to pull you this way. So you have to resist that. And that's actually going to give you really great trunk strength and support and stability to build you up. The other way that we can look at this is you can even take your legs out of the equation and you can reduce the load on the handle, meaning I can take my resistance all the way down to 1, I can stop using my legs, and I can row lightly, arms and body only, in which case I'm able to just create this very light passive movement. Maybe it's day 1 of your movement and they're saying that, all right, yes, you can move your arms, but I don't want you to add a lot of intensity. Well, take the damper setting all the way down, don't use your legs, and sit there and row hips and arms only, and that's going to help you be able to continue to move. You can do as much working out or as little as you want doing that. Next, let's talk about the legs. Well, there are several ways that we could do this. Again, a lot of these are useful whether you have an amputation, maybe below the hip, below the knee, or below the ankle, whatever that may be, you can work with this. Or if you're simply in a cast because you have a broken leg or you had a knee surgery, whatever it may be, you're able to work around these injuries when you're on this machine. So how do we do it? Well, you can begin, the simplest and probably most common way is that you take the bad leg and you find a fixed position for it that allows it to move with your body. Some of the most common ways, the funny ones, but I think it works really well, put your foot on a skateboard if you have access to one, a furniture slider, $5 at whatever big box home goods store you go to. You could some people have put a cookie sheet. If they have carpeting, you put a cookie sheet on the ground and put your foot on a cookie sheet. And what that allows is that you can row with your good leg. The bad leg sits off to the side and continues to move with your body. So now you have a full body workout. You can row the entire stroke, but that bad leg sits off to the side until you're able to move it again. Now that's phase one. Now let's say that you are, similar to the arms, just getting back into movement. You're allowed a little bit of knee flexion again, and so you're starting to develop that. Well, take your resistance down and now row what we call half slide. So with half slide, we're not compressing as far into the stroke, and so we're able to compress just a little bit. The knee maybe bends about that much, and then you drive again. And so what you're doing is establishing a comfort level with using the leg as you push into the machine. And what that's going to give you is a rebuilding of strength, blood flow directly into that leg because it's having to work, and the intensity level is variable per you. Now, the reason, for example, that would be hard on a bike is because a bike is generally going to force you to have this full bend of the knee, and there's really no way of creating like just very little knee movement. So the great part about it is that you are responsible for the movement. You get to determine exactly how much compression you get out of the legs. And finally, let's use an example of maybe you have some kind of neuropathy that has taken away some of your leg strength, and it's made it hard for you to be able to support yourself, and you're looking for ways to be able to continue to build the muscle mass that's in your legs, in which case we'd be talking about this more from a strength perspective. Well, you can take that damper setting up, you can use both legs, and what's happening now is those legs are in a system where there is no risk of a fall, there's no inability to move through that range of motion because you're still in control. We've taken gravity out of the equation for you, and so you're able to develop strength and endurance into a muscle group that may actually be suffering from something else that's going on in your body that is not within your control. We also have the ability to, perhaps if we're talking about somebody who is a double amputee, who is not using legs, we can go into a fixed seat position. Now, there are a number of ways that this can be done. One of the fastest and easiest is simply you take a band, hold on, let me go get it. Here's what I'm talking about. You take a band, something like this. If this is your machine and you're trying to fix the seat, all you're gonna do is take the band, loop it around, tie it off, and that seat's not going anywhere. Now you put one on the back side of that seat instantly becomes fixed in position, which means that you're going to be able to row arms and body only, meaning from the hips up, instead of having to use the legs. And if you don't have control of your legs, then you're able to create this fixed seat position. Now that's option one. Option two is you can completely remove this monorail. You can weigh down the front end by putting plates or sandbags on top of the legs of the flywheel portion of this. And if, let's say you're in a wheelchair as a double amputee, you can slide the wheelchair forward, fix the wheels on the wheelchair, make sure the front end of this is weighed down, and you're able to now either row arms only or arms and body. And that's a fantastic way of using this because, again, what we're trying to do is create blood flow, movement, and positive health benefits for your body, regardless of what your limitations may be. And that is really the exciting piece of this, is it's usable in any way and any creativity factor that you may come up with. And finally, let's talk about the back. Now, I have personal experience with this. I have a basically non-existent disc, L4, L5, S1. Happened long ago, and I am completely managed with it nowadays, but I've been through many repeats of what it's like to have a bad back and try to row with that. And it is very, very frustrating when you have a back injury. It's amazing how reliant we are upon our backs to create movement for life. And I know that feeling, a feeling like you're on ice skates, just every step, you're not sure if your back's gonna hold up. So why is it that we even talk about rowing as a useful tool for recovery from a back injury? Well, the benefit here, again, comes into the ability to take load off of the body. In this position, we are typically, or in the rowing movement or rowing stroke, we are typically removing gravity from the equation because all of our body weight is now not driving down through our spine, and our spine is having to support, or all of the musculature is now responsible for keeping my legs underneath me. I can sit a little bit. That takes off some of the gravitational draw. I don't have as much weight sitting on my spine. And now what I have to do is focus on how do I move through my hips. But the thing that happens here is that with a good rowing stroke, you're moving through your hips. not your spine. And when we have a back injury, it's typically a spinal issue that we're dealing with. Now, I've said this in pretty much all of these, but we can adjust damper setting for our needs. And what that means is that I am training good back position, meaning strong and straight, or I should say neutral back position. I'm training hip movement. Can I move at my hips, not at my spine? And that's an important one to be able to delineate. So now I'm training good posture. I'm training new movement patterns because I move through my hips instead of rounding my spine under load. And I'm able to control the load that happens on the handle. So with a back injury, if I need to start rowing arms only, I can do that. I can fix my seat. I can anchor my body at the open position of 11 o'clock, and I can row arms only, handle into the body. As soon as that feels comfortable, I can start training arms and hips. And I'm making sure that I'm moving through the hips, not my spine, meaning the spine stays fixed, my hips move. And once that feels good, then I can begin to introduce legs, half slide, 3/4, full slide. And that simply means half depth, 3/4 depth, or full depth. And I'm able to grab each of the pieces that's necessary for me to recover, begin moving again, because believe me, I know every part of my life feels like it starts to fall apart when my back goes. It's amazing how mentally and emotionally taxing that is, that just a little bit of a sweat can bring you right back up and help you feel human again. So I know exactly how that goes. So I wanna know, what injury are you dealing with? Are you an amputee? Are you recovering from knee surgery? Did you have shoulder surgery? Have you used it in the past to success? If so, how? What did I miss? I wanna know all your comments and your thoughts. Drop them in the discussion below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're looking for the answers as to why and how and a little bit more in-depth of why rowing is useful for injury recovery that isn't actually the practical piece, but more of the let's just talk about it as a grand scheme, go check out that video now.